Hello, everyone, and welcome to Worldwide Technology Speedway. We're in East St. Louis. That's the Illinois side of the state line for Horizon IndyCar Series action. It's Murph, and it's Jalopnik.com's Ryan Eric King. And Ryan, you're the beloved wreck, and we might be looking at a big one headed toward turn one at the start of this race, sir.
Yeah, it's always a calm before the storm feeling before a race here at Gateway, because unlike a lot of the super speedways we go to, the shorter length at Gateway means you normally have to, dab the brake a bit to make it through turn one. And when you're in a crowded field of cars at the start heading to turn one, it can turn into close quarters combat real fast.
You know what? It most certainly can. Turn number one at Gateway is one of the most challenging. Turns one and two are two of the most challenging corners in all of IndyCar. You get down to turn one, everybody's got different lifting points. Everybody's got a different way to get through those two corners. You'll see cars running right along the rumble strips on the bottom. You'll see cars all along the top, right along the fence. It just depends on how they want to get through there. It is very difficult. Do want to point out that we also have some guests. That's Mike Rigney in the number 80 from the ISRA series. He's here, and we'll jump on board Mike right straight away. Ryan, let's take a look at Mike Rigney and his qualifying efforts. There he is. He's coming down the backstretch through turns number 3 and 4. This is his second lap. We'll see what Mike Rigney does. He's coming down the front straightaway. This is a very experienced driver, and welcome to Mike Rigney, the ISRA impresario. He's going to go to fourth quick. We'll jump on board another long-time IndyCar competitor. This is Mark Cohn. Cohn on his first lap. And Ryan, he's going through turns 3 and 4. How do you want to get through 3 and 4 here tonight?
3 and 4, I like to lift a little bit to get the car to turn in, and then immediately full throttle. You'll get a bit of a drift to a neutral steer, but you should be able to hold it flat through the corner.
There you go. There's Mark Cohn. The familiar colors on the number 39. Going through 3 and 4 right down tight. Leaves about a half a lane off the bottom. He'll exit turns 3 and 4. Mark Cohn is going to come across the line. The Watchman will go fifth quick. Here's another driver that we've watched for a long time. It's the Horizon IndyCar Series president, Matty Wagner, and here he comes out onto the speedway for his qualifying attempts. We'll go through the left eyeball here, Rec. We've got the telemetry up right now. Alex Miller, Lith Fox, Gary Lover in your top three, but I would expect this run from Matt Wagner to be quick.
Yeah, I think he'll make or break these first two corners if he can really keep his speed up.
Now you see Wagner, he ran a little bit of a different line there than Mark Cohn. Wags decided to keep the thing right on the seam. This track almost, if you notice, if you drive it, Ryan, this track almost has dual banking in turns 1 and 2. At least it did in this iteration of its existence. Of course, now they've repaved it. It's all one banking system down there. But I like to run on that seam. You see Wagner, he goes all the way to the bottom in turns 1 and 2. In his second lap, that's the flyer. Wagner experiencing a bit of connection difficulty. The second lap here is the money lap, Ryan. Keeps it tight all the way off of turn number 4. Matty Wagner, his second lap is going to be
provisional pole?
Provisional pole, 185.4993 miles an hour. Matt Wagner, quick here at Gateway. Do have a great audience signed in already tonight. Ryan, we'll go ahead and give a shout out to Shane Coker. He is serving as race control. He says it's a gateway to the underworld. I wouldn't go that far. I actually like this track, both to visit it and to drive it in the sim. Maestro says he thought the track was hit by a tornado. Well, in his dreams it was. A lot of guys. This is a place that you either love it or you hate it. Speaking of love it or hate it, in the comments section, how many laps are we going to go without a caution? That's the bet that Ryan and I have headed to the grid here for the Horizon IndyCar Series round at Gateway. On the pole with a lap of 184.4993 miles an hour, it's Matt Wagner. Alex Miller is going to start outside. In row 2, it's Jeff Heisong and Lith Fox. Row 3, Gary Lovan, Jari Brubaker, and Frank Wynn. We saw him run extremely well in the Indy Open race Ryan, on Monday night. He is going to roll in 7th spot. Mark Cohn will be to his outside. Row number 5 is made up of Mike Rigney and Turner Johnson. Starting 11th, it'll be Hugo Gallas. He'll be flanked by Sam Cosner in 12th. Jacob Wilson is going to go in from 13th. Sheridan Wade 14th. Daniel the Cat Drazzo is the final driver to have taken time, 171.597. Chris Stouffer, Nate Fields, Will Stearns, and Joseph Morales did not take time. And Ryan, we are not going to see Shane Coker out here tonight. He is serving as race control. So that is your starting lineup here tonight for the Horizon IndyCar Series round from Gateway. As you mentioned, Ryan, earlier, 133 laps here at Gateway. We're looking, otherwise known as Worldwide Technology Speedway. We're watching the grid form here. What are kind of your thoughts as we look at Lith Fox? There's Alex Miller in the 49. He's in the all black machine this evening. Matty Wagner from the pole. You've got Jeff Heisong in the bluey machine. The number 18 there he is. Gary Lovern and Jari Brubaker. Lovern, of course, for Velocity Online Racing. Jari Brubaker in his familiar purple, blue, and black yellow scheme. Frank Wynn for Japan Candy Store. Mark Cohn, there he is, the number 39 Joy of Driving Sim Gaming Expo machine. Mike Rigney is in a bit of a throwback. That car looks very, very solid. Butt kicker livery on it. There's Turner Johnson, Hugo Gallas. On the inside, Jacob Wilson, Sam Cosner to the outside. Sheridan Wade, there he is. There's Jacob Wilson. Daniel the Cat in the familiar Corona number 2. Chris Stouffer for 4D Racewear. Be alongside Nate Fields. There's Will Stearns. It's going to be an interesting night tonight. Wouldn't you think, Ryan?
I think so, and I think pit strategy is going to play a role into the far back of the envelope math. Had it up to a 50-lap stint, and it should, on paper, it should be a clear 2-stop race. You never know how the cautions fall and how people feel on their tires.
Yeah, you really don't, and that's going to be the key for me. Is going to be, Ryan, how these guys manipulate the pit strategy. Always so crucial here in an IndyCar race, even more so at a short oval. Barney's got the green flag in the air. The Horizon IndyCar Series is on from Gateway. We head down into turn number 1, and already Matty Wagner stretches out to a big lead. Looking further back in the field, everybody's made it safely through turns 1 and 2. No caution, Ryan, as they head toward turn number 3. We've got it on Mark Cohn. He's looking to the inside of Gary Lovern. Cohn has made up 2 spots already from his 8th place starting position. Caution is on the speedway. Sheridan Wade hard into the turn 3 wall. Rear wing is gone on that one. Chris Stouffer also with the meatball. And Ryan, it's going to be an early night for both Stouffer and Wade.
Yeah, taking a glance at the replay, it looks like Sheridan Wade just got too low and rode on the curb.
Yeah, there is Sheridan Wade. He's looking to the inside of Hugo Gallas there, headed into turn number 3. And you can do that. You get too low there, and there you see it. He gets on the FIA curbing down there. That will turn you loose as quickly as you can think about it. Unfortunate bystander, Chris Stouffer, he's going to go hard in the outside wall. Both of those cars are on pit lane. We are under caution. at lap 2. So it wasn't turn 1, Ryan, and it wasn't lap 1, but we did get an early yellow.
Yeah, looks like I owe somebody some money.
You can make that check payable to Gary Godso at P1 Broadcasting, Indianapolis, Indiana, on that paycheck, Ryan. I'm sure that Gary will be glad to take your money. He likes Gateway as well. This track is one of my favorites for a very simple reason. This is where I got my first iRacing official win in a top split broadcast.
I also got my first win here at Gateway.
My first broadcast win right here. And Gary wasn't. This was back in the old channel days, and Gary had agreed to sponsor my car. Had not yet even agreed to sponsor my car. It was the debut for the Stroker Ace Chicken Pit car that I raced for a long time. Brought it out here at Gateway, won the race, beat Adriano Pinheiro and Rodrigo Franzoni that night. That was fun. I was one of the first people that discovered that you shouldn't run the bottom. And of course now everybody runs the seam or above really to make hot laps, but I was one of the first ones to recognize that you could make really good time on the high side here in turn number 1 and 2. Sheridan Wade has punched out of his machine, by the way. Chris Stouffer is still under tow. Joseph Morales is headed down the pit lane, as is Andrew Surwack. Really no disadvantage for those two. They were in the back anyway as we watch the pace car lead them around here at Gateway. The lights are going to go out here, are out on the pace car, and Ryan, we're going to be back to green flag action in pretty short order. Wagner leads it, Miller second, Heisong third, then Fox and Brubaker. Always a fun shot, Ryan, off the tailgate of the pace car here, working around Gateway. I always like to mess with the pace car. That's always a ton of fun, especially when Gary's calling it. It messes with his his immersion, as they say. There you go. The pace car is going to duck on off. We are going to jump back up to the front of the field. Matty Wagner hits the loud pedal. He is going to get a clean break off of Alex Miller. They break away from Heisong. The battle really, Ryan, is much further back. The front two kind of get some distance and some space. Everybody safely through turns 1 and 2 one more time. And now Alex Miller, he's going to look to reel in Matt Wagner.
Yeah, you didn't have a great start, but it's all about making use of the toe to reel yourself back in.
It is indeed. And look at Wagner. Starts into the corner very high, cuts down very low, riding on board with Alex Miller as Alex tries to close down on Wags. Now, the dirty air is not as big of a deal in turns 1 and 2, but look at the toe. Alex Miller, he's going to pull it out. He's going to go by Wagner. Down here in turn 1, you got to kind of play chicken here, Ryan.
Yeah, you have to get the car slowed down enough not to drift off the track.
Wagner in the wall. Did he get the wall on your screen, Ryan, or was that net code?
Yeah, he did tag the wall on my screen.
Yes, he did tag the wall. Do want to welcome Donald Green into the chat. Donald, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Dirty Quiet also in. Alex Miller goes by Matt Wagner. Wagner slaps the wall a little bit coming out of turn number 2. Mike Rigney has made the fastest lap, and you can see him at the back of this train. He is running in 9th. We're also going to see Lith Fox make a dive on Jeff Heisong. Doesn't quite get that move done, but when we talk about playing chicken here, you really do have to kind of play chicken going through turns 1 and 2 if you're going to make a pass.
Yeah, because usually you want to be on the inside, but when you have a run, you're going so much faster than you normally are. But you also have to get the car slowed down to speed lower than you normally make the corner, because you don't have that room on the outside going through 1 and 2.
No, you don't. If you think of racetracks, this one very similar to Darlington or Motegi. Look at the run that Yari Brubaker gets off the corner. He's going to drop down to the inside of Lith Fox. Yari Rubiker is going to go to fourth. That checked up Mark Cohn. Here comes Frank Wynn to go past Cohn. Lith Fox lost all kinds of momentum out of turn number 2, and Yari Rubiker there to pounce and take advantage.
Yeah, we have a big gaggle of cars fighting for fourth. Oh, car hard in the wall.
More cars in the wall. That is, Mark Cohn is the car that started it. And there's Cohn's number 39. That is absolutely destroyed. Let's see what we've got going through turns number 1 and 2. Now, it was 1 and 2 this time.
Oh, and not only that, our race leader, Matt Wagner, collected.
Yeah, so this is, I think, going to start with Hysong and Wagner, not with the cars that we saw headed to the fence earlier. So here's Jeff Hysong. He's going to run it down to the inside. That's the Bluey machine on the bottom, Wagner up top. And we kind of talked about it. You got to kind of play chicken here. The car in the top really has a huge advantage because if you don't get that pass done by the middle of the corner and you're the bottom car, you run out of real estate. That's exactly what happens. Jeff Hysong gets into Matt Wagner, wags hard into the inside wall. So that's incident 1. Meanwhile, Mark Cohn has also found the cement, and we'll see what happened to him. These are 2 separate incidents. Frank Wynn is going to be on the bottom of Cohn, and we'll see what's befallen Mark Cohn.
I mean, it's hard to discern, but it really feels like Cohn lunged at the seam like no one was on his inside.
Yeah, I mean, it was just 2 cars fighting for the same set of real estate. Cohn gets the worst of it. He gets into Frank Wynn, gets the worst of it. Mark Cohn heavily damaged on the right side and rear of that Dallara. Everybody sneaks through. So dueling incidents here to open the first real, I guess, green flag run we've had. Alex Miller is your leader. Pole sitter Matty Wagner and his good buddy Mark Cohn are in the pit lane with 2 separate incidents that bring out the caution on lap 12. Jeff Hysong is second. Yari Rubiker, Lith Fox, and Frank Wynn make up your top 5. Now, Donald, they do have a fast repair here, so that is the silver lining. The problem with that, and Chris Stouffer has already taken his fast repair. The problem with that, Ryan and Donald, is it takes a long time to get these cars towed in here at Gateway. Wagner and Cohn now 2.5 minutes waiting on their cars to get to pit lane.
Yeah, because the speeds we race here, how close the racing line is to the walls on either side of the track, there are no small crashes here. Normally, when you hit a wall here, you're not going to be able to drive it back to pit road.
No, you don't. And there, we're looking at Alex Miller. The other thing, this track is 1.3 miles around. It's a 55 mile an hour pace lap. And so, you're traveling that in about a minute, minute 30, if that. Even if you get the tow, now Wagner has completed the tow. He is back out onto the racing surface 2 laps down, but you're going to lose at least 2 laps just with the tow. He has affected the fast repair. Cohn the same. They are going to get back into the fight, as Paul Page would say, but 2 and 3 laps down, respectively. Chris Stouffer is 1 lap down. The pace car has peeled off onto the pit lane. We are back to live racing action, Ryan. Alex Miller gets the jump and gets a big lead out on Jeff Hysong.
Yeah, and the top 3 in general real spread out after that restart.
Yes, they were. You can see the gap they have on fourth placed Lith Fox. Lith is in with Frank Wynn in 5th, and there's Frank. Those 2 raced together very well. They did so to great effect in the IndyCar Open Series top split on Monday night at Chicagoland. But there they are. First podium on the broadcast for Frank Wynn in the officials. So shout out to him. Looking a little bit further back, there's old Mike Rigney running along behind Gary Lover. Gary giving it a good ride in the VOR machine up to 6th. And there's Mike Rigney. He's in 7th for the ISRA King.
Yeah, impressive run so far. And knock on wood, things look like they should be clean. We're all in a nice single file formation. We're in that point of the race where you sort of just lock in and start ticking off laps, thinking about the first pit stop.
Yes, you do. You definitely want to keep. You definitely just want to log some laps here. Those two, nobody really has made pit stops. Andrew Serwack came in and topped up under the first caution. Joseph Morales has been in just to continue to fill his fuel tank up. Christopher, Matt Wagner, and Mark Cohn obviously have all pitted. They've taken their fast repairs. But there's no really offset strategy here. And it could be that these drivers kind of feel like we're watching Jari Brubaker. He moves around Lith Fox, move Jari to 3rd. He's going to go to work on Jeff Heisong for 2nd.
I spoke too soon. We're starting to bunch up with a small little 4-car pack for a 2nd.
Yes, we are. They haven't been able to really do much in terms of reeling in reeling in Alex Miller for the lead. But Jari Brubaker with that dramatically offset line. Watch how different he is through turns 1 and 2 as opposed to the cars in front. You see him he's going to get lower, trying to get some air on that front wing. He was higher, trying to do the same thing on Heisong. Heisong varying his lines, Ryan. That's kind of how you have to do it here in Gateway. And here comes Lith Fox to the bottom. Can't quite get there. The dirty air too strong. That's going to check up Fox, and here comes Frank Wynn.
Yeah, through 1 and 2, taking the low line. You might not, get as much speed through the corner overall, but you have more grip. You get on the throttle a bit earlier, and you have the room on the outside to just let her rip if no one's on your outside.
Yeah, you most certainly do. You most certainly do. It's all about it's very difficult here to build, in my experience, to build a passing opportunity. You see Jari, he's doing about the best you can. He's offsetting lines. He's trying to get a run going up high. The problem is, as soon as you get close to the car in front, Jeff Heisong being that example right here, as soon as Jari gets close, Heisong will just vary his line a little bit, and that huge run that Brubaker has will just it'll be like he pulled the parachute on him.
Yeah, and I think, for the most part, the best drivers here at Gateway are the ones who do, in, baseball speak, hit it where they aren't. You drive in the clean air, you try to pass them high, pass them low, just go to where they aren't.
That's a great point, Ryan. Go to where they aren't. It's also a huge advantage to the leader because he's the only one on the track that can dictate that gets free reign as to where he wants to run. Do want to get a little bit further back in the field. The front 7 have broken away. This is Sam Cosner, Hugo Galez, and Turner Johnson. They are 8th, 9th, and 10th. Hugo, the veteran, surrounded by a couple of young Turks in Cosner and Johnson in those Votive Racing League machines. And they're having a pretty good tussle here for 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, they're making ground up where they can, and it, 9th seems like far back from our leaders, but you make one pass, you get in clean air, and you gradually close the distance over the course of the race.
Well, these cars are in clean air. Here's the problem. Sam Cosner is 2 to 3 tenths a lap slower than leader Alex Miller, and this group is consistently that. But we're watching the fight we're taking a peek at the fight between Gallas and Turner Johnson. This is 9th and 10th. Immediately behind them is the very colorful machine of Jacob Wilson. He is 11th, and he has a rearview mirror full of Daniel the Cat.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to be using every inch of this racetrack.
Yeah, they are, looking off the back of Jacob Wilson and his extremely colorful number 51. Not quite enough for Durazo there to make that move stick. Daniel Lecat runs in 12th. Nate Fields is right behind them. And then you've got Grandpa Will Stearns. He is chugging along in 14th. Andrew Surwack is 15th in the Gatorade machine. There he is. He's going to make the move on a lapped Chris Stouffer. Stouffer 1 lap down. He just wants to make it to a yellow so he can get his laps back. Same with Matt Wagner. There's Wags. He is in 18th, 2 laps in arrears. Same for Mark Cohn, 19th, 2 laps down. Sheridan Wade is out of the race and will be classified 20th. Meanwhile, Yari Brubaker has got past Jeff Heisong, has taken away the second spot, and is going to set sail after Alex Miller. Yari Brubaker on the charge. Heisong tries to bring it to the bottom, Ryan, but just cannot make it stick.
No, and it's better to be safe than sorry. If you can't make the decisive move, it's wise to just back out.
Yes, it is. Frank Wynn either net-coated or slightly brushed the wall coming off of turn number 4. He'll slap back in line in 5th. Frank Wynn having an excellent run so far tonight to back up his podium on Monday. Yari Brubaker has now pulled clear of Jeff Heisong, and Yari is the first one that we've seen be really able to attempt to close down Alex Miller.
Yeah, and it's been unassailable at the front for Alex Miller since he's taken the lead. It might not be pulling off, say, 3 or 4 tenths a lap, but this lead is slowly getting bigger and bigger.
It most certainly is. One of the things as we ride along with Yari Brubaker that Alex Miller has not yet faced, and Yari chopped another 10th off that lap. But one of the things that Alex Miller has not yet faced is lap traffic. You can see the car in front of Yari Brubaker. That's Alex Miller. You look in front of him, and I believe that's Mark Cohn running along up there. Alex Miller has not faced dirty air yet tonight, and that is going to be a challenge for him. Of course, he's got his tools set for running in clean air, the weight jacker, the anti-roll bars. They're all set for him to run in clean air. If he catches that in the wrong place, Ryan, that's going to be trouble.
Yeah, big trouble, especially because, Cohn had the incident earlier. Cohn's multiple laps down, meaning his tires are a bit fresher than Alex's. So he'll have a bit more grip, a bit more of a capable car to stay in front of Miller. But maybe Miller could just blow past him on just superior pace.
That's definitely possible. We do want to point out Joseph Morales has the meatball. He has answered the meatball, come in, taking his fast repair. Joseph Morales will head back out onto the track, and that's going to be another position for Wagner and Cohn, perhaps. Morales exiting the pit lane now. You see him there as we continue to watch Yari Brubaker and his chase of this man, Alex Miller. Alex Miller is your leader, but if we get into his car, he is not all that far behind Mark Cohn, Ryan.
Yeah, he's closing on Cohn at a very quick click. Probably give it 2-3 more laps till he catches Cohn.
Yes, he is. Do want to point out as we ride on board with Alex Miller, that's not anything that Mark Cohn's doing wrong. He's out there, he's out there making laps. He's trying to learn something. And that's a guy that was, that just got his system he just got his whole system rebuilt. Just got his rig rebuilt. He's been away from racing for a while. He's been away from this car for a while, and so Mark Cohn just out there trying to learn as much as he can. That's an old veteran, and he's trying to get himself, I think, back up to speed. But Alex Miller is up to speed. He is looking any way he can to get by that lap car. He does not want to fall into the clutches of Yari Brubaker.
And Cohn doesn't fight it. He just lets Alex through.
Yes, he does. And so Alex Miller is going to put Mark Cohn now 3 laps down. The Joy of Driving machine for Sim Gaming Expo is going to fall back to 3 laps down. Alex Miller did use the draft from Mark Cohn to great effect, by the way. He was able to pull out a couple of tenths of a second over Yari Brubaker. He's made that gap about a second now, and that's as much as we've seen. The battle is not for the front 2 positions or even for Frank Wynn in third. Wynn has gotten past Jeff Hysong. It's back here. It's Jeff Hysong in fourth, Lith Fox in fifth, Gary Lovern in sixth, and Mike Rigney has maintained his position on the back of that train in seventh. So great run for Mike, and welcome him to the league. But this is the best battle on the track as it is currently at the moment. You've got Daniel Durazo looking on Sam Cosner. That's been a situationship now for a while, Ryan. Hugo Gales has separated himself into eighth from this battle. But up front, it's Hysong, Fox, and Lovern in the dispute over fourth.
Yeah, it feels like every position is a war today because besides Alex Miller, it is not a situation where any position has been safe.
It has not. Alex Miller has come to the pit lane, by the way, Ryan. So we may be seeing scheduled pit stops, or at least scheduled in terms of what Alex Miller wants to do. He has come into the pit lane. He does not have any sort of a meatball flag. Frank Wynn is now coming in. So yes, we are seeing green flag stops. Jari Brubaker now in, and that's going to give the lead to Lith Fox. So there's Lith. He's had the fuel turned down. Lith Fox is going to go another lap around. Mike Rigney is there right behind him. Lith Fox, though, is going to come to the pit lane, as is Rigney. And this is huge news for this man right here, Chris Stouffer. Now, why would that be huge? Why would that be huge news for Stouffer, Ryan?
Because while on the broadcast we said that you could probably go 50 laps on the sprint, before we went to air, I guessed that it would probably be closer to 45 with the more on throttle time, with this being a night race. With that in mind, this might not be a 2-stop. It could be a 3-stop. And if you're able to stretch your stint and get that stop in hand, you could win this thing easily.
Yeah, and the thing that I wanted to point out with Chris Stouffer, he was involved in an early kerfluffle, an early accident. Remember with Sheridan Wade way back in the early going. Stouffer has stopped, and he's been out for 33 laps. The other cars, Jacob Wilson is the longest runner out there. He has not yet stopped. Jacob Wilson in the 51, give credit where credit is due. He just pulled in the pit lane. He went 46 laps. So maybe Jacob Wilson is going to make it a 2-stopper. But you're right. That early accident, though, and what I was saying for Stouffer, he's taking the lead now. That early accident may turn into a boon for him if he's able to cut a pit stop.
Yeah, because if you're able to stop early, stay on the lead lap, you effectively have that lap advantage on the field.
Yeah, and same for Matty Wagner. He's pulled himself back onto the lead lap. Morales and Cone now back to 1 lap down. Morales has, he's only been out 12 laps. So Joseph Morales, if he gets a yellow here, he may be in position to get the lucky dog or the wave around, whichever you prefer. Right now, it's Chris Stouffer. He is leading on the racetrack from Jari Brubaker. He's been out 36 laps. I wonder how much more petrol old Stouffer has in the tank, and if he's playing it, making this on just 2 more stops.
Yeah, only time will tell how the stints really work out, especially without the caution this time around, because we know what a stint length is with that caution we had during the start of the race. But if it's just straight green flag running, it could mean that the target's harder to hit.
That's very true. I think Stouffer's going to be the bigger canary in the coal mine. The guys that just pitted in the cycle from the lead, Jari Brubaker has gotten around Chris Stouffer now for the lead. Alex Miller is third, and he's looking to get by Stouffer as well. They are running along behind Matty Wagner. But I think Stouffer's going to be the canary in the coal mine here, Ryan. He's been out 38 laps now, so he stopped at lap 12. He has not had nearly the caution time on his tank as some of the others.
Yeah, Yeah, you're right. And if he could, you know, make the numbers work, say have a 46, 47 lap stint.
Well,
Wow.
he doesn't need to do that, Ryan. Christopher from here to make it in 2 more stops needs to do 81 laps. So he only needs to do 40 apiece from here, 41 and 40. And he's on lap 40 now.
So he could pretty much come in whenever at this point.
Yeah, so the guys that did not stop early, they might be facing, if we stay green, a splash and go at the end, or they may have to turn it all the way down. Christopher may be in pretty decent shape in terms of the fuel strategy, and there he is riding along in second. The other thing is, you get a caution here, and that whole thing equalizes out. Stouffer is going to want to run this tank as absolutely long as possible. Do want to point out that the word is kerfluffle. That is a Southern Indiana word, and you can look that up in the dictionary, Dirty Quite. Ryan Eric King, have you ever used the word kerfluffle in an article over at Jalopnik?
No, I haven't. Though I have never written about an incident involving two stuffed animals fighting against each other.
Haha, Matty Wagner has given up the ghost. He is going to come to the pit lane. 42 laps on his fuel run. Stouffer, he's going to go for another, and he is pulled right back up on the back of Jari Brubaker. Chris Stouffer is practically distilling fuel in the number 13.
Yep, shades of Scott Dixon.
Now this track is one of the courses that is probably one of the easiest tracks to save fuel at, Ryan. On board with Stouffer, he dives down to the inside of Jari Brubaker there, going into turn one. He's got to be just about done on gas. But you can run in the draft. You can very easily run partial throttle, keep up down the back straight. And then if the fans want to look to the right, there's a traffic light and a photographer gate in the fence right there. You can lift off well before the corner here and just clutch it and coast into the corner.
Yeah, you pretty much, if you're going all out in traffic, normally you would, use your brake to help the car turn in. If you want to save fuel, you just simply lift early and just let the car just glide into the corner in turn one.
Yeah, you can make a lot of fuel that way, especially if you've got it turned down into a lower fuel map. Do want to welcome Sarah Hodges to the broadcast. Welcome, Sarah, and I'm probably adding multiple consonants to every word I say. It's a Southern Indiana thing, so we appreciate your patience with my enunciation. Chris Stouffer, 46 laps is what Stouffer went here. He's going to pull the 4D Racewear machine onto pit lane, and Ryan, I know he's going to go a couple of laps down, but this is not all bad from Chris Stouffer. He can make it home on one more stop from here.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of leapfrog out on the track with two different fuel strategies happening at once. He'll go down, but once the other cars on the primary strategy come into pit, he'll leapfrog his way back into the lead.
He most certainly will. We're going to get back on the battle for the lead. Frank Wynn has moved around Jari Brubaker into second. That is Will Stearns on the bottom. Lets the leaders go. Jari is going to throw it to the inside of Frank Wynn, going through turns 3 and 4, move Jari Brubaker back to second. And here comes Lith Fox. He's looking to make it, he's looking to get into the podium positions. And we are basically as we were now before the first cycle of pit stops. Alex Miller leads Jari Brubaker from Frank Wynn and Lith Fox. There goes Brubaker, though. He's going to dive to the inside. Jari will take the lead over Alex Miller. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everybody tuning in to the broadcast. We do have another wonderful crowd here tonight for the Horizon IndyCar Series. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell so you can be notified of all future P1 broadcasting events. We are watching the Horizon IndyCar Series from Gateway. Jari Brubaker leads it, Alex Miller second, Frank Wynn third, Lithfox fourth. Mike Rigney is the cream-colored machine at the top of your picture. He runs along in fifth. Mark Murphy and Ryan Eric King bringing in the action. Ryan, Jari Brubaker has gotten around Alex Miller now and has started to stretch the legs just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, and it's it's weird trying to keep your eye on everything happening at once because it seems like Jari Brubaker has his hands full at the front of the field right now.
He does, and then you've got a wonderful battle for third, Frank Wynn and Lith Fox. They've got Mark Cohn there. Cohn is 3 laps down, does not figure in this battle, but he is there. Now Lith Fox, he's going to dive it down to the bottom on Frank Wynn, move Lith Fox to third. Frank Wynn is going to go back to fourth. Mike Rigney not a part of this battle, nor is Mark Cohn, although Cohn did get past Wynn, and he's going to go to the bottom of Fox now, looking for some track position. Cohn wants to get to the front. He'd like to get a lap back on the track if he could, Ryan.
Yeah, it'd be ideal. It'll make the pit cycle strategy a bit easier to make work.
Yes, it will. He's been out now 9 laps. Jari, 23 laps. Alex Miller, 24. Lith Fox, 22. We're going to go back to the battle for the lead because it is still the best one on the racing surface, other than Gary Lovern and Jeff Highsong. The Bluey machine goes to the inside. Lovern in the VOR car on the outside. Highsong wants that 6th spot. Lovern fights back on the outside.
Still hanging side by side.
Side by side indeed, and it's as we mentioned at the top of the show, Ryan, it is very difficult to pass a determined driver who holds the top here because they can essentially shut off the exit to turn number 2.
Yeah, and it takes a level of testicular fortitude, as they used to say, to hang it around the outside and stay there because you're pretty much leaving yourself to be a target for the car on the inside.
Yes, you are, and you can see, with modern VOR stuff. I use three triple monitors, Ryan. I use triple monitors, triple curve widescreen monitors. It is unnerving to see that car on the bottom coming at you.
Yeah, and it's that tight tango between keeping your foot in it on the outside, but also keeping yourself off that outside wall.
It's funny. My good friend Trey Shadid has said on many occasions that I drove better when I just had one monitor and I couldn't see him coming, Ryan. So there you go.
Was it because you weren't a target to be passed anymore?
I think it was more that I really could see the car on the inside coming, and I would back out of the throttle and kind of misunderstand closing gaps and so forth. Mike Rigney, by the way, has caught Frank Wynn, and there's Rigney in the number 80 for Butt Kicker and the Sim Gaming Expo. He is right on the rear wing of the Japan Candy Store machine of Frank Wynn. Let's get on the nose of Mike Rigney, and this is what that looks like. Do want to thank Whiplash SimCams for these amazing pictures, Ryan. That's about as close as I'd want to be in an IndyCar.
Oh, yeah, because it is, it's easy to forget that we're hitting like 190 miles an hour in these things, and we're pretty much running, less than a foot away from each other at some points in this race.
We are. We'll get the fans at home an idea. Mike Rigney, he's going to hit 193 as the trap on the backstretch before he lifts a little bit for turn number 4 or turns 3 and 4. Down the front, he may touch 200, Ryan. Well, he did not touch 200, and I know why he didn't touch 200. Did you hear it?
Yeah, the lift.
Yeah, Mike Rigney lifted way off the throttle way early to save some fuel going down the front, and he is now there all over the rear of Frank Wynn, trying to gain that fourth spot. Mike Rigney continues to move forward here. 198 that time, so he kept his boot in it, trying to affect the pass. Wynn gets a little wiggly up on the top side. It's just a matter of time here, Ryan, before I think Mike Rigney gets by the car of Frank Wynn as we watch the front five run along. There's 6 cars in this train. The blue and white machine of Mark Cohn, and there goes Rigney to the bottom. The blue and white machine of Mark Cohn is laps down. Rigney is now full on alongside of Frank Wynn. Is he going to have the spot, Ryan? Not quite.
Not clear.
He was almost there, didn't quite get it. Now Rigney's going to have it, and he's going to pull to the inside of Mark Cohn now, trying to get himself past the lapper. Cohn will let Rigney go. And now for Mike Rigney, next up on the hit parade is Lith Fox.
Yeah, when you have momentum like this, getting past not one but 2 cars, you're just hungry for more.
You most certainly are. Jari Brubaker does lead it. Alex Miller is second. Lith Fox is third, but it's a hard-charging Mike Rigney now looking to the bottom of Lith Fox. Almost touching coming off of turn number 2. Lith Fox did not anticipate, Ryan. I don't think Lith Fox anticipated that there was going to be a car there. And there was almost an exit front wing situation for Mike Rigney, but he's going to drop to the bottom. He's going to see if he can't clear Lith Fox. Not quite there.
I think he'll have it into 3.
He is going to have it. There you see, off of the right rear for Mike Rigney. He's going to take it into the 3rd position, and he is now in direct contact with both Alexander Miller and Jari Brubaker, who are the 2 leaders. We are, by the way, approaching... Caution on the speedway. Joseph Morales is around. That's going to be caution. Joseph Morales around off of turn number 2, and that changes things drastically.
Yeah, it changes things drastically because Morales was coming off of pit road when he lost it, and a number of other cars are going to take this opportunity under yellow to come in for their own stops.
You know, they most certainly will. I would anticipate we see the entire field on the pit lane. They may not necessarily be able to make it home from here without some super saving as we watch Joseph Morales. He's on the warm-up lane. It is very slick down there. He's going to get his boot in it just a bit too early, and around she goes. That'll bring out the caution. I don't think they can make it home from here, but this is going to do a couple of things. First, I think most everybody is going to come down the pit lane. There's Jari. He's leading the field down. Mark Cohn is going to stay out. He will reclaim one of his laps. I would assume also that Christopher will stay out, Matt Wagner out, Morales out, and Will Stearns. They're all going to get laps back. That's going to put Stouffer back on the lead lap. And he will have to make one more stop. I don't necessarily think that's all bad, Ryan. I think everybody has to make a stop yet with 50 to go.
Yeah, everybody has to make one more stop. But while the possibility of winning by an entire lap goes away, they immediately get this leapfrog in track position.
Yes, they do. Watching the race off of pit road, everybody makes it through. And there they are. They're going to come off. You can't come on the racing surface, by the way, here at Gateway until you get to that blue cone. And so that's what the drivers are waiting on before they can blend up into the racing surface. Jari Brubaker leads it. Mike Rigney second. Alex Miller is third. Fox, Wynn, Hysong, Lovern, Hugo Gallas, and Turner Johnson are the remainder of your top 10. Well, Daniel the Cat has made it into the top 10. So don't sell Daniel Durazo short. He is now 10th. Sam Cosner, Nate Fields, Andrew Surwack, Jacob Wilson, Chris Stover are the remaining cars on the lead lap. Matty Wagner and Will Stearns 1 lap down. And they are the tail end of 1 lap down. They'll get the wave around here very shortly. Mark Cohn and Joseph Morales are the tail end of 2 laps down. And there you see them stream past the pace car. Really a huge break for Chris Stover. This is what Stover needed in order to get back into a position where he might be able to win the race. And don't count that guy out. He's going to come to the pit lane. He's going to have to tank basically a full tank of gas, Ryan, but he's going to get some new stones, and he's going to be out more or less. If he comes out without traffic, he might be able to put in some banger laps.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's, and as we saw earlier in the race, whether it be with Matt Wagner or with Alex Miller, having that clean air is such a huge advantage.
Most certainly is. Do want to thank everybody joining us on the P1 Broadcasting Network. You are watching the Horizon IndyCar Series live from Gateway. Mark Murphy, Ryan Eric King on the call. If you haven't already done it, make sure you ring the bell, subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting channel so you can be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts. Ryan, Barney's got the green flag in hand. Jari Brubaker weaves to the left. He weaves back to the right. The race is back on. Field streams through 1 and 2 safely. I've been very surprised that we haven't had more incidents down there, Ryan, given the different places that these drivers lift off the throttle, going through that very difficult corner, all the fuel saving happening. Jari Brubaker leads it. This is going to get fun, I think.
Yeah, because while we still have 1 pit stop required for the rest of the field, for the entire field, it feels like a sprint to the end, even though we have a long ways to go.
Yeah, it's 48 laps from green flag to finish. The most we've seen anybody do is Chris Stover made it 46, and there was some caution mixed in there. So these guys are going to need some help in the form of a yellow light to make it home. Speaking of help, the man that doesn't need any help, Mike Rigney, he's gone to second now. He passed Alex Miller in the pit lane, and he is all over the back of Jari Brubaker.
Yeah, he's right there, but he's going to need a run to make a move. He's sucking up to his attenuator, but he doesn't really have the momentum to pull alongside.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it off of the back of Jari Brubaker, this man, Mike Rigney, is probing to see if he can't get around. He might have a run, but no. I think just based on that shot, I think Mike Rigney might be saving some fuel here, Ryan. It appeared as though he lifted off to not take that run going down the front straight.
Yeah, that may be the case. There's no way you could save enough fuel to make it to the end, but lengthening your stop could put you in a position where you could just stay out longer than everyone else, and maybe, like the last pit cycle, there's a caution.
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing Mike Rigney lift off. He's got the thing fuel mapped. He's lifting off. He's staying in the draft. The other thing that Going Long does, this is, we haven't really talked about it because we haven't used it. We've only used it once. Pit in and pit exit here at Gateway are extremely treacherous, Ryan. It can be very difficult as we watch the leaders. We're going to flop back here because Turner Johnson, Gary Lovren, Hugo Calles, and Daniel Durazo were just about 4 wide there.
Dear.
But pit in and pit out are very treacherous here, Ryan. And so just by virtue of staying out longer, you might be able, we've got a battle for the lead. Here's Mike Rigney. He's going to dive to the inside of Jari Brubaker. And on debut, Mike Rigney going for the lead here in the Horizon IndyCar Series. Couldn't quite get it done. These two are longtime veterans, Jari Brubaker and Mike Rigney. Here comes Mike to the bottom of the speedway. He's going to try one more time. Lith Fox has also decided it's time to go to the front. Lith is headed for the inside of Alex Miller, unable to make the move. But it's to your advantage to stay out longer, not just because of the shorter pit stop, Ryan. the likelihood of a caution here at Gateway, where cars coming on and off a pit road, is extremely likely.
Yeah, we already saw it tonight. Like, it pretty much could happen all over again. It just takes someone just not being aware of their tools or trying to go into the entry at a speed a bit too high.
It does, and here's the other thing. Given the amount of laps that are going to be left, you're going to see most of these cars, if it comes down to a green flag stop, they're going to be doing gas and goes. So if we're gassing and going, Ryan, you're going to be hot tires on that very marbled and slick and dusty and grimy warm-up lane. It is not going to be it's not going to be easy. Meanwhile, Lith Fox has now moved past Mike Rigney. Lith Fox wants to go to the front. He got around Alex Miller. Lith Fox got around Mike Rigney. Lith Fox is now headed for the lead on Jari Brubaker as we head for turn number 1.
But can't get clear, and Rigney's gonna fight for his spot back.
Yeah, so Lith Fox made that huge lunge down the inside, didn't get clear, couldn't make it off the corner, and we've seen Lith do that a couple of times tonight. Have to get all the way out of the throttle to avoid either knocking down the car next to him or the wall. Mike Rigney will get back around Lith Fox. Meanwhile, these guys back here, that's Gary Lovern working on Jeff Heisong. You've got Daniel the Cat back there. Chris Stouffer is back there. Stouffer was able to use that last caution to get back on the lead lap. He is on the same strategy as the leaders. Chris Stouffer coming to the front. There goes Stouffer. Yeah. That's that situation. If you get off a turn, if you get under somebody in turn number 1, I kind of liken it to fool's gold. If it feels like you can be Superman down there and make that pass, the problem is you have to judge it right, because if you don't clear the car on the bottom, they will not let you up. And the options are slam on the brakes or have a 2-car accident. Chris Stouffer chose to remove his right foot from the accelerator. And that let everybody live, but it brought Gary Lovern back into the battle. Meanwhile, Daniel the Cat playing some great defense. I don't know how much longer that's going to last on a veteran like Stover, though.
Yeah, it's not going to last long, because Stover is not giving up.
No, Gary Lovern got to the inside. Stover way loose coming off of turn number 2. Just about wads the 40 Racewear machine into the outside retaining wall. He keeps it straight, and let's jump on board. I think Chris Stover's got the tools set for maximum oversteer as he tries to work through this field, and he might have made his right rear a little unhappy. On board Stover, he's got the Velocity Online Altena Autosport machine of Gary Lovern to his inside. Lovern continuing to work on Stouffer. Stouffer would like to get around Durazo and Heisong. Lovern's going to make the move, though. And here's the thing, Ryan. Stouffer was up high there. You know who runs higher than just about anybody else at this place? It drives you nuts. But take a guess. And it's not me. I run pretty high, but not as high as the guy I'm thinking of.
Oh, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
Craig Forsyth runs the fence through the first part of 1 and 2. It is interesting. It's an interesting sight to behold, but Craig Forsyth uses that to great effect as we watch Stouffer to the inside of Lovern, just about contact. Matty Wagner has pulled in for his final pit stop of the day. He and Mark Cohn have both been out 48 laps, and so they're going to be coming to get their final service. They're 2 laps down, not in the fight at the front. The fight at the lead has now kind of stabilized. Jari Brubaker, Mike Rigney, Lith Fox are all right together, and then about a half a second behind them is Alex Miller. Those cars have pulled over a second between themselves and Frank Wynn, and then it's about another second back to Heisong. and then this battle, which continues to rage. Haisong is 6th. Durazo is 7th in the Corona machine. Lovern is 8th. Stouffer 9th. Hugo Gallas 10th. And those cars are all in a knot, Ryan.
Yeah, they haven't been pulled apart since we restarted this thing.
No, they have not. And now we're going to start seeing the snake, I think. There's a car in front of Haisong, and I believe that's Joseph Morales coming off of pit road. Haisong dropped it low just to kind of get himself a little bit of a draft. He is in the draft of Morales in front of him, and he wants that draft because he's looking at a train that's lined up and ready to pounce if they can get any kind of a slip out of that number 18 Bluey machine. So the question becomes, Ryan, when do you make your final stop? Now, we've seen Wagner and Cohn, and Morales make theirs. Obviously, they were laps down and under a different strategy. When do you see these guys make their final stops? Are you going to see anybody do the cheeky thing, come in early, or are you going to see, as Will Stearns comes in, or are you going to see most of these guys run it dry? And do we think there's anybody that's going to try to make it? The pace has not been quick.
Yeah, I'd probably go to stop with about somewhere between 20 to go and 15 if I have the fuel to make it that far. Like, obviously you're going to have to come in and stop, but you're going to want to leave yourself enough distance to make use of the fresh tires and the light fuel load.
You know, you do. I'm on the fence. So, you know, we did the cheeky thing. Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, and I did the cheeky thing Sunday night in the Dark Horse DW12 race. Caution flag flew before the rest of the field came in, trapped a lap down, had a bad finish. You know, and us three had more or less been either leading or certainly no worse than 5th for the entire running. So that was disappointing. If you get that wrong, it can cost you the race. We're going to have somebody try to make it. And it's, to my mind, probably going to be either Lith Fox or Frank Wynn. Those two consistently seem to be very good at saving fuel. There's no way Jari Brubaker from the lead is going to be able to do it. Just by the fact that he's leading Ryan, he's going to be burning more fuel. I don't think Mike Rigney is saving nearly enough to make 51, 52 laps, which is what it would be. But but somebody's going to try it.
Yeah, someone's going to try it. Rigney did save a bit early, but has been aggressive to try to get around Jari. It just doesn't seem like he's going to make it, and maybe Lith Fox.
Yeah, Lith Fox and Frank Wynn seem to be the two. Alex Miller has fallen way back of this group and is running very slowly. He is almost in the clutches of the Haisong, Lovern, Stouffer, Durazo, Gallas battle that continues to rage. Stouffer gets by Daniel the Cat, and he is going to set his sights on Gary Lovern. Durazo now in the clutches of Jacob Wilson. That's a lap machine. And that's a lap machine in Hugo Gallas. We're watching Stouffer. He is 8th. Lovern 7th. Haisong 6th. And like I said, they have almost caught Alex Miller. Miller running very slowly on the speedway, 24.9. These cars' ultimate pace is about 0.7 of a second quicker than that. That tells me he is saving fuel hard as Haisong. Big wiggle, and that's going to let Gary Lovern go by into 6th.
Yeah, and we're starting to hit that crunch point with the laps ticking down.
Yes, it is. Do want to welcome Anna Klimek to the chat. Anna the Deer points out it is easy to spin it on pit exit and cause a yellow. That's exactly right, and to me, that to me, if I were Yari, Mike Rigney, Lith Fox, Frank Wynn, or Alex Miller, and I had been in that top 5 all day, it's a night race. Tire wear is not going to be huge here, Ryan. I would probably stay out as long as possible and come get a gas and go. I wouldn't even take tires here. The problem with that is it is extremely treacherous on hot old tires trying to navigate the pit exit here at Gateway. Gary Lovern goes by Alex Miller, and that'll put Lovern in the 5th. So a fine ride for Gary Lovern. You got to wonder, though, is that 49 saving fuel?
And we already crossed over the point that I said I'd come in pit 15 to go. This is getting dicey here at the end.
Yes, it is. 15 laps to go, riding on board. Alex Miller, the plain black wrapper here tonight for Alex, and he is saving big. Long lift phase, and it does not sound like he has the fuel turned up at all, Ryan, because that car is barely pulling 5th gear down the backstretch.
God, I am on the edge of my seat because I would be astonished if anyone has enough fuel to make it to the end.
It would be wild. Jeff Heisong makes the lunge to the bottom on Alex Miller and just about comes to grief. He got on that curb. Huge wiggle again for the Bluey machine, and it does not look like Heisong's car is handling well at all. We're going to reset it here for you. Jari Brubaker is your leader. We've got 12 laps to go. He's been out 39 laps. The longest we've seen anybody go is 46. That means he is not going to be able to go to 5 to go. And Mike Rigney is coming to pit lane, and this is going to tell us a lot, Ryan.
Yeah, to go now with, 11 laps to go.
We're going to put the stopwatch on Mike Rigney and see, does Mike take tires? Does he go fuel only? This could be the winning move, and Rigney is the first man at the window to cash his ticket. Car is in. It goes up on the jacks. Mike Rigney is taking tires and enough fuel to get home. Let's get back out to the speedway because we've got more action yet to come. Jari Brubaker is in the lead. He went longer than Rigney. Rigney went 40 laps. These cars here are coming to get 42 laps, Ryan.
Yari's called it on the radio. He is coming in.
And he got stuck behind a lap car of Andrew Surwack, and that is going to cost him a ton of momentum. So here comes Jari Brubaker. We've also had pit stops from Turner Johnson. Christopher has been in. But here comes Jari Brubaker, the man who has more or less dominated the second half of this event. And here he is. He's going to get down to pit road speed. He does not speed. And let's see what Jari Brubaker does here. Is it going to be tires or is it going to be gas only with 8 laps to go? Jari Brubaker pulls into his pit stop. Don't slide the tires.
As we say that, we have Frank Wynn and Liv Fox fighting for the lead.
We do. Jari Brubaker took gas only. We're going to get back to the battle for the lead. That's Frank Wynn on the top, Liv Fox to the bottom. Those two have yet to stop. 7 laps to go, 44 laps out on their current run. Are Fox and Wynn going to be able to do it? Jeff Heisong, Alex Miller, and Daniel Lecat, 3, 4, and 5. As they run, Jeff Heisong is coming to the radio. I'm sorry?
Frank is calling on the radio. Frank Wynn's coming in.
Frank Wynn.
So is Liv Fox.
Yeah, Frank Wynn and Liv Fox are both coming. So we're going to see exactly what they do into the pit lane. That's going to hand the lead over to presumably Alex Miller. And there you see the black car come through. Alex Miller, Hugo Galez have yet to stop. You see Daniel the Cat coming in This is going to be fun. Let's see what Wynn and Fox do. The Japan Candy Store machine will file into the pit lane. The Fox slides through in front. Fuel only for Frank Wynn, and it's going to be a splash. 3.9 seconds. Away they go. They're going to race off a pit road. Lith Fox is the winner of that one. And we need to pick up Alex Miller. Alex Miller, 47 laps. Jari Brubaker's in the wall.
Oh, no.
Jari Brubaker hit the wall. I believe he's been forgiven. Netcode. He's been netcode forgiven. Oh, my goodness gracious. Alex Miller, very slow now.
That could have been the race win for Alex Miller.
It could have been, but the car of Jari Brubaker, netcode forgiven. Alex Miller crawling, and there's a caution. Caution on the speedway. Andrew Surawak is slow. And that's going to be the race. We need to figure out what has happened here. It is, I believe, as simple as Andrew Surawak spinning on the pit entry access road. Here he is.
Oh no, not that.
So that finally reared its head. Andrew Surawak coming to the pit lane. Does he spin it, or is he just got too hot?
Unsafe. Unsafe rejoin.
Yeah, unsafe rejoin. He comes back out, nearly hits Mike Rigney, Andrew Surawak, and that's what triggers the caution there, Ryan.
Yeah.
So Alex Miller catches the break. Now, it's not a given at 49 laps out there. It is not a given that Alex Miller has enough fuel to make it around to end the thing under yellow. He's got to maintain caution car speed. Mike Rigney is going to get the lucky dog. He'll get back on the lead lap. He'll finish 7th. Lith Fox is 2nd. Jari Brubaker is 3rd. Andrew Surawak is 4th. Frank Wynn rounds out your top 5. In an interesting end, I'm looking to see if there were any other incidents, Ryan. I don't see any incidents in the incident list either.
Yeah, Shane Coker in race control noted. And yeah, Andrew Surawak self spin on pit exit.
Okay. Or pit entry, as it were.
Actually, no. Yeah, let me reverse this. We were looking at the wrong car. Hugo Gallas had spun on the exit.
Oh, okay. So my apologies. Hugo Gallas is the spinner. He's going to come home 14th. Here is your winning moment. It's going to be Alex Miller under caution, 51 laps, Ryan, on the final tank of fuel. And we are going to have to ask Alex Miller if he had enough petrol to make it as the fireworks go off in Gateway.
Yeah, it is certainly going to be a podium debrief to remember.
Most certainly will be. It's going to be Alex Miller with the checkered flag in hand. 51 laps to end it on the fuel. Lith Fox is 2nd. Jari Brubaker rounds out your podium. Andrew Surawak is going to be 4th. Frank Wynn 5th. Nate Fields. Mike Rigney on debut is the last car on the lead lap in 7th. Chris Stouffer fights his way back to 8th after early trouble. Gary Lovren and Jacob Wilson will round out your top 10. In 11th, Daniel the Cat Durazo, Jeff Heisong, Turner Johnson, Hugo Gallas, Sam Cosner are all 1 lap down. 16th, Matty Wagner. 17th, Will Stearns, 2 laps down. Mark Cohn, early trouble. He'll finish in 18th. Joseph Morales, 19th. 4 laps down. Sheridan Wade called it quits early. Out of the race in 20th.
over the radio, Alex Miller revealed that just before he started his burnout, he had a half-gallon of fuel in the tank.
He had to have been running, Ryan. He had to have been running very minimal. He had to have been running very minimal. He might have been in the caution map. We're definitely going to ask him. The first man into the interview room, should he want it, would be Jari Brubaker. And so we'll wait. We don't have anybody in the Horizon IndyCar Series waiting room. And so once the drivers file in, we will be sure to ask. Thank you so much, Wendy Brooks, for joining us. Jacob Wilson fan. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wendy, Will Stearns, fresh out of the car, said it was a good race. I thoroughly enjoyed that, Ryan. I thought it was a good one as well.
Yeah, like we had fantastic on-track action as always at Gateway, plus with the heavy heaping of spice with the pit strategy.
Yes, there was. We've got Jari Brubaker in the waiting room. Jari, you've got Murph and you've got Ryan-Eric King in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Hey there, yeah, I hear you.
Excellent, excellent. So you came in, you get gas only. Out front most of the day. Kind of talk about this race. This seemed to be the typical Gateway where if you got the lead and the tires got worn out, it was pretty easy going up there. Tell us about your night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Gateway, so I'm quite happy with P3. Although, like, after having led most laps, I'm also a bit disappointed by the caution at the end. But yeah, it was basically at the start it was easy to make up spots, and then at some point you just had to make sure nobody got onto your outside of turn 3, and then you could basically hold it into turn 1 and 2. Yeah, that was the difficulty. As long as nobody got there, you were basically safe up front.
Gotcha. Ryan, what do you have for Jari Brubaker this evening?
Like you mentioned the last caution that sealed the win today. What was your fuel situation looking like at the end in the closing laps? Because it seemed like our leader wasn't going to have enough fuel to make it. Were you noticing on the relative that you were chasing down second and first, or were you just hoping that they were going to come in and stop?
Well, I was just hoping that he would come in. Alex, I think, was the one who stayed. He ended up winning, and I think someone else stayed out, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I just hoped that they had to pit, and then I saw Lith came out in front of me during the pit cycle, so I had to try to find a way around. But yeah, then the caution flew. But it was definitely up front. There was no way I could have saved enough fuel to make it till the end. So I knew I had to pit at some point. I just tried to stretch it, always hoping the caution would fly, and then it flew. But I had already been in the pits at that point.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jari, and thank you so much for your continued loyalty to the Horizon IndyCar Series. As you know, you get on the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs. My man, the floor is yours. It's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, I always come and race. Like to race here. It's a great league with good people. They race nicely. So once again, thanks to everybody racing, everybody watching, and you guys in the booth.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. I appreciate your being here. Keep going fast, having fun, Jari, and we will see you next week.
Yes. All right. Bye, guys.
Absolutely. That's Jari Brubaker. In P2 tonight, we've got the Fox, Lith. You've got Murph, and you've got Ryan-Eric King in the P1 broadcasting booth. Walk us through those wild last few laps. The tortoise and the hare. The tortoise won today. How close was the hare to making it work?
Honestly, we kind of made the decision in our last fuel stint there that we were just going to go for it. We didn't think that there was enough laps for us to do a proper fuel save run, or there was too many laps rather. Then we realized about halfway through, we were like, "Oh, Alex is probably going to win this." We were like, "Oh, we're about short 5 laps, and if we would have fuel saved that, I think we could have had that." Though maybe something with the caution, who knows, without that caution there. But yeah, we realized with about 13 to go, Frankie and I were doing some strategizing in the background, and yeah, we just realized we just didn't have the laps for it.
There you go. How close was it? I mean, what kind of crazy number did you have to pull to do it? Because obviously Alex did it.
Honestly, I was short personally about 5 laps. So by the time I was going into the pits, if I would have just had like 4 or 5 more laps of fuel, I would have been fine. And so if you would do like a full map 4 run in that, you would have had it. Alex was able to do it as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Ryan, what do you have for our winner this evening?
Second.
Second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, second, yeah. Besides the fuel strategy at the end, you were in the thick of it up front. What was it like, effectively battling other cars for most of the race?
Honestly, I've usually been fairly strong at Gateway for some reason, even in the public races. It was definitely weird, especially with the new car update. It's almost easier to drive than it used to be, but that also means that it's easier for everybody else to drive as well. There was a lot of moments where some of the battles I just didn't want to be a part of, so I would just back off and let them go and let them fight other people. For the most part, it was kind of stressful. Definitely had to have a lot of focus there. If you lost any focus, you'd probably accidentally cause a wreck. I think there was also like a small little incident that happened behind me after we slowed up real bad in turn 1. So like that's just like the amount of focus you had to have, because it was really easy to get into the back of someone if you weren't paying attention there. Otherwise, I felt like everyone was really respectful on track, and everyone raced really well today.
Yeah, it was exciting to watch.
We definitely noticed that. Yeah, we definitely noticed that in the booth. Besides the cautions early on, it calmed down really quickly.
Yeah, I think a lot of us realized, you can really catch up to someone into turn 1 there. Really backed off there a bit. You'd still get some battles, but it did calm down a lot. I think we all realized we were all in the thick of it there. So everyone was real kind on track, though.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lith. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and Frank and your team. As you know, you get on the podium here at P1. You get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, shout out, similar to Frankie, shout out to all of the folks watching today. Everyone that's been helping me out, backing me out. I've been admittedly unemployed for about a year and some change. And so everyone's been keeping me alive. It's been great. So shout out to everybody that's been doing that. Shout out to Frankie, who's been doing really well this season. I don't know. I have to look at the rankings to see where he is.
Yeah, he darn near won the open race at Chicago on Monday.
Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy. I was sad that I couldn't finish that one, but yeah, it was a good racing from him. And then shout out to Mariah as well. Shout out to Foxfire 47. She's part of the Foxbox group that I run on my sponsors. So shout out to them as well. And then that's all I got right now. So, but shout out to P1. You guys have been awesome doing broadcasts. So thank you all for being doing the broadcasts, and shout out to Horizon for running the league.
Yeah, we appreciate you. You got some good-looking hot rods over there at Mariah, and we look forward to seeing you up here in the booth more often. That's Lith Fox. He is going to be second today, and that brings us to tonight's winner, Alexander Miller. Alex, you've got Murph. You've got Murph, and you've got the wreck, Ryan Eric King, in the P1 broadcasting booth, sipping the methanol instead of gulping it tonight. Was it map 4? Was it map 5? Or was it map 8 at the end?
It was map 5, and in the last, when we hit like 3 to go, I was in map 8, and I still think I was gonna run out before the line.
You might have been able to clutch and coast it, though. That was a pretty wild bit of fuel saving. The longest run, by the way, in the race before you made it to the end 51 laps. It scores it as 50, but it was 51. The longest anybody went was Chris Stouffer at 46. Just so you kind of know what you're working with there. But heck of a saving effort. I suspected something was up when you fell out of the battle for the lead and started falling backward. Was there ever a thought to abandoning the save, or were you fully committed?
I think early on I did have a couple thoughts. Like I think there was a single lap where I went up to map 3 instead, but then went back to map 5. But the longer we started going without a caution, basically exactly what ended up happening played out in my head of like, if they pit, someone's going to push it too hard on pit exit because it's the very end of the race and you have to get out there because you don't have enough time to make any track position up if you lose it. And that's exactly what happened to end up making my fuel save a little less hard in the end. But I just committed. Like even in map 5, I think the most not good I was like 0.15 gallons in the entire stint. I like hovered around 0.1. So I was like, even if I run out, I don't think anyone's going to be close enough to me to pass me.
There you go. Ryan, what do you have for tonight's winner, Alex Miller?
Well, I just want to know, Alex, what did it feel like when the lights turned on and the caution came out? Was it a sense of relief, or did you know it's not over yet? I need to cross the finish line.
As soon as the caution came out, I was celebrating. I was like, oh, it's over. I've got the fuel. We're fine.
Yeah, because I did hear over the radio that before you started your burnout, you only had a half gallon of fuel left.
Oh yeah, it was marginal caution.
Well, marginal or not, you complete the advertised distance in the lowest elapsed time, and that's all that matters, right? And so congratulations on your win tonight, Alex. As you know, you win here on P1, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah, as always, shout out to Matt and the P1 crew and everyone who puts on Horizon. Shane doing race control, as always, doing great with that. And just really shout out to just all the friend group. TMR, the Mirai crew are close. Like everyone, it's been a rough while for me, and having that support group just means more to me than I think I can even put into words, honestly. Like it's great. And then occasionally we get to celebrate wins together, so it's even better.
Well, I'll give you something else to celebrate. After 4 races, you now hold a 7-point lead, 126 to 119 over Frank Wynn. So you are not only the winner tonight here at Gateway, I should call it Worldwide Technology Speedway, or Raceway, but it'll always be Gateway, I suppose. After round 4 tonight at Gateway, you are 7 points clear in the points lead. And so congratulations on that, Alex. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. And we'll see you at the next one, all right?
Yeah, I'll be trying to go fast.
No worries. That is Alexander Miller. He is the winner tonight. Ryan, it's always interesting, isn't it? When you come to one of these things. In terms of pit strategy, and it, as far as who's got the fastest car, who's going to time the yellows right tonight. Alex Miller did that. He goes home in victory lane. What did you see that impressed you this evening?
The unpredictability. Every time I felt like, this driver has the pace to drive away from the field and potentially win this thing from X lap forward, just something came up and just snatched the win away from them.
It most certainly did. And speaking of upcoming excitement, we've got a loaded week here for you at P1. Tomorrow night, it'll be Sam Crow and I with the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's going to happen 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 on the broadcast. The AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series will be live from Indianapolis Raceway Park on Friday, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. There is no iRacing IndyCar Series race this week. Not only that, there's no dark horse, and there's no votive. And so Ryan, Gary, and I get the weekend off. How about that?
Yeah, get to relax, not have to worry about having cameras set up or anything.
I know, right? Monday night will be the IndyCar Series Open Series top split from Portland. That's going to be a wild one. That is the first official, and I believe, from what we understand, there might be some moisture in the forecast, so stay tuned for that one. That's Monday night. Jacob Collins and I at 8 o'clock here at P1. Immediately following that, the Sim Gaming Expo ISRA Open Wheel Series. Their finale is going to be at Pocono, 9:35. The flagship broadcast, that's going to be the IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday top split presented by Techtopia. They are also at Pocono. Make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe to the channel, and be notified of all future P1 broadcasting action. For Mark Murphy, Ryan Eric King, our founder Gary Gonso, we also want to thank everybody that makes this possible. The fans, you guys are great in the chat. It's wonderful to have an audience to interact with. For the drivers, it's great to see them, and it's great to see not only some old hands returning, but some new faces that are making their mark with the car, and that's always awesome. Do want to thank all of the other people that make it possible: the first responders, the police, the fire, the military, the nurses in the emergency room in the middle of the night, and the EMTs driving the ambulance. From the bottom of our heart, we thank and salute you, Ryan. Let's take a couple of weeks off on Wednesday night. Come back and get them at the next one, buddy.
See you then.